Good evening, everyone. Crazy day. Gotta love the elections. So, we have an awesome show planned for today. We're going to talk about Ursa Minor and the werebears and all the fun stuff that comes with it. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring out Tom Hutchison. What's
Hey,
going on, Tom?
that was some really fast ado.
Yeah, I don't waste time. We don't need any. We don't need any big intros here and there. So it's been a crazy day, man. I think everybody took off for the elections. The roads were insane today at work, so I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be home in time to do the show.
Yeah. It's I don't have the 9 to 5 job. I don't do the commute. So plus I'm in the middle of nowhere, Michigan. So I wouldn't know what traffic is, if unless I had to go to Grand Rapids or something. So yeah, I can't imagine what things look like trying to get to real places with real quantities of people.
Now I may have to switch over to my phone again. My computer's being goofy, so if I start to sketch out, I am preparing the backup.
All right.
So you know how computers are. So it's
Absolutely.
exciting. You got the new campaign up for Ursa Minor. So if you would tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we're back to Ursa Minor. We did this about a year and a half ago. We had Ursa Minor up for a 2018 special that had been produced but never released because we went over to Aspen for 3 years. So we released that book just to kind of get people to remember, hey, don't forget Ursa Minor. And so this year, 2020 was our Big Dog Inc.'s 10-year anniversary. And so all of the campaigns we did this year were different. So we had Scheherazade, we had Critter, we had Princess versus Zombies, and now we've got Ursa Minor, who we wanted to kind of dabble in all of the things that we had for the 10-year anniversary. So we launched this. It is for those that know Ursa Minor, it is going to be the 5th issue of Volume 2. So basically the completion of Volume 2 that we never got done because, again, we went over to Aspen, and so all of our books basically got reprinted through the Aspen brand. This book is the final 10 pages that Ian Snyder has done for the series. And then the rest of the book is being done by Mannix Francisco, who was part of the 2018 special. So we get a little bit of artistic continuity there. Of course, I'm writing the story, so the story is being written by myself still. And it will lead us to 2022, which will be the 10-year anniversary for Ursa Minor. So next year, 2021, is the 10-year anniversary for Legend of Oz: The Wicked West. Next year will be very, very heavy Oz in our releases, our campaigns for Kickstarter and so on. And then as we go into 2022, we will be leaning heavily on the 10-year anniversary for Ursa Minor. So we'll be very, very horror heavy in 2022. So that's where we're at. We're already funded. We funded in 45 minutes. We have nearly 300 backers already. We just unlocked another stretch goal like a few hours ago, $14,000. So another bonus free item is added to your package for those that are backers. You get free extras for being backers. There's holofoil cards, there's stickers, there's sketch cards, there's extra stuff, and it's just free. It's exclusive to the backers, and that's kind of part of what makes doing Kickstarter fun. Is you're funding this project. You're literally becoming the reason this project exists. And because of that, you're going to get some fun extra stuff. So there's lots of covers to check out. Carl Liversidge, Bun Young did our first ever chibi cover. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to remember who else is there. Daniel Camerudin, David Fott. There's an Ian Snyder cover, of course. On and on and on and on. Hedwin Zaldivar did a 3-piece transformation cover for Naomi. There's a lot of really, really amazing cover art. All of it is done. 150 pieces made, $20 is your cost. That's it. There's no extra shipping. It's just $20. You're in, you're out, you're done, complete. If you want to get them all, there's one-click donation for what's called the full moon lot, and that gets you all of the 11 primary covers for $220. Again, it's just shipping is included. You're done. Just click the button, pledge for it, and you're finished. And then as you're about to get to, there is an add-on that you're just about to get to. This is all the stretch goal bonuses. We've already unlocked all 4 of those. And we've unlocked now 2 more off of this rack, but this is not updated yet. This just happened a couple hours ago, so we'll be updating it tonight. And then Steph Wilson has an add-on right here, which is a really fun homage to the old show from the 90s called the Man Show. At the end of the Man Show, they would always just run their credits basically over a scene
Chicks
of girls
on
jumping on
trampolines.
trampolines. And so I don't know where this came from. We were talking about DVDs before I came in to the show, and somehow I ended up with getting a season 1 of the Man Show on DVD. And I was immediately like, oh yeah, that girls jumping on trampolines thing. And then I was like, oh, you know what? We have to do that. Like that's a fantastic homage. Those that know me know that I don't do a lot of homage stuff. And when I do, it's usually something really deep cut. And so when I would talk to Steph Wilson, I was like, so Steph, I've got something for you to do. He's like, okay. And I was like, okay, so you remember the Man Show? And he was like, yeah, of course I know the Man Show. And I said, okay, so girls jumping on trampolines. And he was like, yeah. And I said, so, but it's vampires jumping on trampolines. And he I know in his head, he was just like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? But as soon as we kind of talked about it, I was like, just, it's going to be a night scene. They're going to be jumping on the trampoline. Like everybody went home. The trampoline is still on the beach. We'll have the palm trees, like they do on the Man Show. And that's it. And he actually drew 3 vampires. And I was like, no, that's too many, dude. Let's take one out because that way we'll get to see the trampoline easier. The scene will have a little breathing room. So we took one of them out, left the other 2. Really, in this case, this was the only edit that we had. I was like, yeah, you got the perspective, you got the girls, you got the dresses. It's great. And so you can either add this to your existing pledge or it's just its own reward pledge too. So we will have another add-on coming on Saturday, and we'll start marketing that tomorrow.
And that's cool. The add-on for this, you have it available as a standard, the foil, and as a metal.
That's true. Yeah, for the first time, also we've done this as a regular edition, a foil edition. So for those that don't know, the foil, if you look at this cover, all of the lighter colors are going to kind of seep and separate. And so the holofoil cover, it's like printed on a silver rainbow holofoil. So everything up in the sky and in the girl's skin and so on is going to kind of get a flash of this holofoil silver. And then there is also a metal version available that'll be printed on actual metal. So it's fun. It's fun. I think this is a really super fun cover. And I think anybody that misses it is going to be kicking themselves when it finally actually is released.
Oh, and Steph had a great time with it because you got to draw, the round trampoline. And
oh yeah, everything was Steph World on that cover.
That's it. I'm posting more answers. You get out of here with that, Josh. You're not getting my channel banned. And Andre, what's going on, buddy? He's nicknamed the character from Xeno Nanite Titan Paco, so we've been having fun jokes about that. So since he got the axe in the book and the art that I posted, I told him that he started his own franchise, Paco Bell. So we've been joking around about that. Now, who did these pencils here?
So the pages you're seeing right there, that's Ian Snyder. He was the original artist for Ursa Minor on the original miniseries, and then he was going to be doing the series as we went forward before we went over to Aspen. So he had actually completed 10 of these pages before we had to stop production to go over to Aspen. So we're actually going to get to use his unseen pages as part of the book. And then the second half of the book will be done by Mannix Francisco, who has a similar style. So it's not going to be too jarring of a change, but it is definitely different. And, we miss Ian, of course, but, he's got his thing that he's got to do, and we got our thing that we got to do. So I was happy that we got to use these final pages, and we'll just kind of keep on moving. And then Gat Melvin is taking over the colors. You can see the colors right there. A few of those pages are colored. Gat Melvin was the colorist for the Legend of Oz book that we did last year. And he'll be back on Oz coming in January.
And the colors are beautiful. They absolutely pop.
Oh yeah, Gat is amazing. He was an amazing find. Found him through an artist. He was working with an artist kind of regularly, and I was like, yeah, do your thing there. But then I was like, hey, dude, you want to do like more colors, and I'll give you more work. And he was like, yeah, let's go. And so he did all of Oz. He's done all kinds of covers. He does the coloring for the Blue Jay stuff that we do on Patreon. So he is all over the Big Dog Ink landscape now.
That's awesome.
So now you're in the covers. That is Ian Snyder's cover right there. Then we have Brian Peterson coming up with a Lost Boys homage. And that is Cassandra. This is Pedro Perez, who does an amazing kind of animated style. It's got just a little bit of blur to it, so it kind of feels like it's a cartoon, like straight out of Heavy Metal or something. It's really cool. Really, really amazing cover. This is David Fott, of course, who has been popping up on Big Dog stuff since earlier this year when he started on Goth Day and part of the Penny for Your Soul Showgirls book, which incidentally will be shipping later this week. This is Carl Liversidge, who has become a supremely hot artist of late. So be sure you get your Carl books, because I keep hearing about how these people want Carl's cover from Princesses versus Zombies. And I'm like, well, you should have backed it on Princesses versus Zombies because it's sold out, guys. It's gone. It's out of here. So don't come crying when the books are gone. Bun Leung, this is our first ever chibi cover. Awesome cover. Bun has also done a bunch of stickers for us in the chibi style. 2 of them now are unlocked for this, so you'll get, if you were to buy this cover, you would get his cover there, and you would get both of the stickers as well. He's done this for Catnip. He's done it for Critter earlier in the year. So loving his stuff. This is a new guy that I found, Daniel Camerudin. I've been watching him for a while, and we finally got him to get onto a BDI book, and we're looking at bringing him back for Oz in January as well.
Yeah, then that cover's phenomenal. It's
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
Oh yes.
That's right, Scott.
Yeah, you just go all in. That's it. You just go all in.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself for not being able to get on that Showgirls. Hopefully, there'll be some extra copies.
Well, yeah, we'll have extra copies of the main book. It's all the foils that are going to be sold out. Yeah. This fine. Is Jesse Witchman. He had a piece of art that he did for us many, many years ago that people have been asking about, and I was like, well, I don't want to just do the same piece with like the different face. So I was like, so Jesse, what if we took that piece of art but we turned it into something else? And so he did all of this work here to do turn it into like a Grindhouse movie poster style thing. Amazing cover. Looks fantastic. I can't even believe how great this came out. So yeah, definitely get your Jesse Witchman fix right there.
Yeah, it looks awesome. And I've seen the original cover, so it's really cool how you guys switched that up into like looks like almost like a VHS cover.
And then this is the triple piece set. So Naomi is the last of the werebears. So you get 3 pieces all in one pledge. You get her normal, you get her in transformation, and you get the final werebear piece. All of them limited to 150 copies. So there's 150 total sets available. And you'll get all 3 with one pledge. Edwin Zaldivar is amazing. And then the specialty books that we have, these are what we call blood foils. So this will be printed on the silver holofoil like we talked about, but it'll have this red tint on it. Now, we did these for Oz. We did these things called Emerald editions, which had a green tint over it. And they came out so good when I finally got them in my hand. I was like, yeah, this has to become a thing for us. And so we have blood foil covers for Daniel's cover, and we have blood foil for Cassandra, the Pedro Perez cover. There are 2 blood foil books that you can get a hold of, and they're limited to 50 copies. And then the third foil is Jesse's cover, standard foil, but all of that white and light area, that's going to be just catching light and foil, and it's going to absolutely look amazing.
Whoop, went too far. There we go.
And then there are 3 medals. This is the Carl Liversidge. So this will actually be printed on metal, which will look incredible with all that light and dark against it. It's going to absolutely jump off of the cover. And then the other one is Lost Girl, the 80s homage to the Lost Boys. That is printed on metal. And then the last metal is Bathory. That is the movie poster. That will be printed on metal as well. And then, of course, you can get the Steph Wilson add-on as metal, too. And if you're new to the series, there's a one easy pledge, gets you everything that exists for the book. Super, super easy. There is every bit of reading material for Ursa Minor in one easy pledge. And then there's the get all the covers pledge.
And then Andre had a question if you were available on Instagram.
Yeah. Instagram and Twitter are the same, BDI Comics. And there is the full moon set, all 11 covers in one easy pledge. Simple.
Good evening,
like to
Smithers.
keep it easy. We don't do a lot of weird, crazy, buy this in order to get one super limited thing. Like, we make it very easy for anybody to jump in, dive in, try the book, or make it easy to get all the back stock. Ease of use is key in these things. And I want new buyers to be able to come in, understand what they're seeing, and just be like, yep, I just want that Jesse Witchman cover. Click, done. I've got my book. And we're good to go. So that's how we want to do it. And that's how we are doing all of these campaigns for the most part now.
So I'm going to ask the typical question. Where did you come up with the idea for Ursa Minor?
This was just something that came to me. It was one of the books, like a lot of the books that I do. It was something that was just in my head, and it just kept evolving and evolving and evolving. What it is now is not what it was going to be. It was not remotely what it was going to be when it first started percolating. But as you sort of write things out or start to okay, what is this really? What am I going to do with this character? How's it going to move? What world is it going to be? As you start to write things down, you start to realize that this shit doesn't make any sense. This doesn't work. I have to rework this. I have to retool this. Okay, if it's not going to be that, what else is it going to be? And it just takes time, and eventually you just work it out to what it's going to be. Even Critter, the first issue of Critter is it's nothing like what we got when we first got the first issue. Even the concepts, when I first was doing concepts for Critter, nothing that I started with is even remotely part of what this world is now. So, and that's just writing. That's just, okay, I've written something. Is it good? I've written something. Does it make sense? I've written something. Does this suck? And you have to have sort of a bit of an internal dialogue with yourself about, I don't know if this is working really. What if I took a left turn here and what would happen? And then that's where a lot of concepts kind of find their real footing versus just I have an idea, let's make a thing. Like if you look at George Lucas and Star Wars, his first drafts of Star Wars, that's not what we got on the screen. That's writing. That's just keep going until you finally feel like, okay, I've got a foothold here. I feel like we can start here now and flesh everything out. So that's kind of where Ursa Minor came from. And just basically my love for horror movies. I mean, it's, even as a kid, I was watching The Howling and Friday the 13th and, all these things, Halloween on TV. And so a lot of that and all the original monsters, Frankenstein and the Creature of the Black Lagoon and all that. So all of that kind of stuff kind of seeped into this thing. And then I wanted to take some of those tropes and play with them and kind of give different levels of meaning or explanation to them. Why do vampires and werewolves both have silver issues? Things like that. So a lot of the times that kind of stuff seeps into the book, as well as whatever my actual story is. And that's for any story. I mean, everybody has influences and things will leak in The trick is to let things leak in, but still twist them in a way that it becomes a little more yours versus just this obvious, like, oh, I ripped off Friday the 13th here. Ha ha ha. Like, you don't want to do that, but you can be like, yeah, I remember Friday the 13th, Jason killed the girls, smashing them in the sleeping bag or whatever. I want to do that, but don't do that. Like, do something else, but make it like, yeah, I remember that when I was a kid, and so now I'm going to have my serial killer guy do something, but don't just be like, oh, pick it up and go again.
Yeah.
Find something that is connects, but is your own thing if you can.
No, I totally get it. Josh is wanting to know where your cat ears are. He said it's like Superman, Clark Kent's glasses. He has
I don't do the cat ears when I'm on the phone. So that's just for my own personal podcast and all the shows that I do. That we run through StreamYard and get the mic out and all that kind of stuff. But when I'm someone else's guest, I make it as easy as possible with the phone and plug in the earbuds and we're done.
And Scott also asked, did you get any influence from a movie or other source for Naomi as a werebear?
No, the werebear part came purely from the name. It was just Ursa Minor, little bear, and that is where the whole thing started. It was just little bear. What can we do with little bear? Like, that seems really cool. Like, what are the possibilities for that? And then that grew into the idea of her, being a werebear. Again, sort of a twist that people wouldn't expect. And then on and on and on and on.
Well, and like Andre says, make it your own. But,
Yep.
It's hard to do because,
Sure.
There's so much stuff that people have done out there as far as, either a comic book series or a book or movies or games or, it's so hard to come up with an original story with something original. And
Basically,
and that's where Google comes in handy.
Almost everything has been done. So your concept will almost always be derivative of something. Almost always. If you've come up with a concept that no one has ever produced, I mean, we bow to you. But everything is derivative of something usually, even if it's just a tiny bit.
Yep.
And it's not the concept that you need to worry about. It's like, oh, I have vampires versus werewolves. Like, how many times have we done vampires versus werewolves? But vampires versus werewolves is different in Underworld, and it's different in this is the sequels now, but it's different in the Lost Boys because they brought werewolves into the Lost Boys movies. So it just works differently. The relationships are different. The reasons are different. So there's always a way to take a derivative element and then expand on it to turn it into something that is at least more you than it was from whatever you ripped it off from.
And Andre wants to know if we can expect an Ursa Minor versus Care Bears crossover.
What's really funny is it never even occurred to me. Somebody actually, what did they say? It was, oh my God. Somebody made a crack about doing a variant cover where the werebear was a Care Bear. And I was like, oh, fuck. Where did I not come up? How did I not find that? That should have been something I should have instantly cued in on. But this is a perfect example. There's somebody who's just like, dude, you got to do like a thing. And I'm like, oh, my God, of course. But, I wasn't there. My mind was not there. But it's very smart. And who knows, maybe you'll see it in the future.
Oh. I don't know about that, Jack.
I don't know if anything's been done, Tom, especially since Russell hasn't put his book out yet. But put that. Trish is here. What's up, Trish? The werebear stare. That was it. The werebear stare. That was it. Somebody was like, dude, you got to do the werebear story. And I was like, oh, man. That's a missed opportunity. So watch for 2022, and I'm sure we'll find a way to do the werebear stare.
And hey, Trish, I'm telling you, man, cataloging comics takes time. You get quite the collection built up, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and put these away, and it turns into an all-day thing. And Andre, yes, it's a perfect example of Underworld and Twilight. Thank God they didn't make the
Yeah, Underworld
vampire
Twilight.
sparkle.
Yeah, exactly. It's the concept is what has been done 100 times, but find a way to make it yours. And listen, Twilight was garbage, but it found an audience. All right, and Stephanie Meyer's a freaking Harry Potter billionaire off of this stuff. So don't even sweat that part. Who cares if people are like, dude, this is crap? Just go find an audience. That's it. Go find an audience. And there's an audience for basically everything. It might not be the Twilight audience. It might not be that huge, but make what you want to make and then sort of tell people like, hey, this is what I wanted to make. And then people will, at minimum, people should just support that concept. Like, oh, hey, Tom made a thing and it's not for me, but he made a thing. And at minimum, you should get that respect. And then over time, as long as you keep going and you keep showing like, yeah, I'm serious, I'm making this, it will find an audience, however big, but it will find an audience.
And then Scott says, Werebear is a Care Bear. Sounds like a job for Steph Wilson, which where is Steph Wilson? Somebody needs to tag him and get him in here. And then Andre said you could do a whole line of variants versus Teddy Ruxpin, Winnie the Pooh, gummy bears, etc.
Yeah, there's all kinds of nonsense you could run with. And that's like what we talked about. It's like I don't want to be obvious, I don't want to be like, okay, we're going to take the bear and we're going to run it through the bear gauntlet and turn it into everything everywhere that it could possibly be. That will never happen. But when I heard Werebear Stare, I was like, geez, that is something that is so mind-blowingly perfect that we have to figure out a way to do it.
And Mike said, Twilight got my daughters into vampires, and now they watch more vampire movies.
Sure, yeah, and that's the other thing is that it's like there was that zombie movie, that horrible zombie movie, Warm Bodies. But if people watch it and then it gets them into the genre, then who cares? Now they're watching The Walking Dead. Now they're watching Night of the Living Dead. Now they're watching World War Z, whatever. Everything has the ability to bring an audience in to something that they might not have already been a part of. That's the key. You want to get them to watch Twilight and go, okay, vampires and werewolves. But then you want to be like, yeah, but what if you watched Underworld and you got something that's, maybe a little more quote unquote normal. Like any of this is normal, but you know what I mean. You just want to be able to get people. It's the Marvel movies. You want people to watch these Marvel movies, but we got to figure out a way to push them back to the comics, and that's the really hard part to do. Twilight is a gateway drug, yes, and it's a hell of a drug that you got to go through. And I'm sorry to everybody who went through it. But hopefully you came out the other side and found Underworld.
Yeah, Underworld is so awesome, man. When that first came out, I probably watched it 20 times. And then I got my dad into it. And so, every time when we come out, he's like, hey, we're going to get the new Underworld movie. I'm like, heck yeah, we're going to watch it tonight. Such a great series. I'm so wish they would do another one. But you know how that goes.
Yeah. Everything. Well, in theory, everything ends, or you're around long enough for it to reboot.
Well, and the like
Resident Evil is about to reboot now. So
yeah.
we did like 8 Resident Evil movies, and now we're going to reboot it.
Well, and then what's cool is to see Mia. She's doing the new movie for Monster Hunter, based on the video game. I don't know if anybody else has seen the previews for that, but that looks pretty wild.
Yeah, I have no idea what that's about. I don't do gaming, so I was like, I don't know what this is, but it's people fighting monsters, so I'll probably end up seeing it. And I like Mila, she's fine. Most of the stuff she's in, it's fine. I'm not a fan of the Resident Evil series, but she's fine. It's all right.
Well, the concept of Monster Hunter is pretty cool. I don't know what they did with the movie.
Well, is the movie? I mean, is the movie like conceptually based on the film at all, or did they just take the concept and run with it in a different direction? Because that happens sometimes too.
They took the concept and ran with it in a different direction. So Monster Hunter's kind of like you're just you're fighting monsters. You're trying to upgrade your armor and your weapons to battle bigger monsters to get bigger armor and weapons, and
But
you're
it's just a
traversing
modern
these.
day game.
Yeah, it's a
Because
modern day
this
game.
thing, they went through like some portal and ended up,
Yep. Yeah, so
in
this one they're
Monsterland.
like, oh yeah, they got sucked into a portal, and now they've got modern machine guns and stuff like that, and they got her on there using like the bone
Yep.
swords and stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty cool idea. Yeah, exactly.
We'll see.
Jack summed it up right there. He said, based on a video game, it has nothing to do with the video game. Just going to steal the title. That's all.
I mean, if the game is just killing monsters in the modern day, then yeah, you got to do something else with it. I mean, you got to give it something. Otherwise, you're just walking out of your house and shooting monsters.
Josh,
then it's just a video game. So yeah, I can understand it, but I don't know. Again, I don't do the gaming, so it's not going to have any relevance to me whatsoever.
It's going to be fresh no matter what.
Yeah, it's just going to be this is going to be whatever it is. Yeah.
All you see is these big kaiju epic monsters, and you're like, "Hey, this looks pretty cool."
As long as it within and of itself like succeeds to tell me a story and be fun, then it's fine. I know I'll be in the minority when people start talking about it. They'll be like, "Oh, this sucks. It's not like the game," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine." But sometimes you have to judge these things on what they are versus where they came from. And I realize that that's a very hard thing to do because we all get very caught up in source material. So like, for example, perfect example is Wanted. The movie Wanted is nothing like the comic book, but analyze the movie for what the movie is, because the movie is a good movie. It's a good action movie. It's got a cool little twist to it. It's got, there's a lot going on in Wanted. And even though it's not the comic book, which, people wanted, it still is in and of itself a worthwhile, film, regardless of its connection backwards.
So we were just talking about that, Trish. His next binge is the Chappelle Show. They added it on Netflix right after he got the DVD set. He goes out
I just got the DVDs,
it,
but it was
like,
on.
Hey.
So it was easier for me to push play on Netflix than go to my DVD player. But yeah, no, I'll be working on that. The thing with the Chappelle Show that's great is that it's just background noise, so I can be doing other stuff and just play it. I mean, I've seen it all 100 times anyway, so it'll be good. I got something else. What else did I get today? I got Chappelle Show. I got Bob's Burger season 1. I got Wanted. Ironically enough, I got the Wanted Blu-ray.
Yeah, see, I love that movie when it first came out. Like, just the concept of being able to bend bullets.
Yeah, bending the bullets, and it's just good action movie. It's great characters. It's freaking. Think about the cast, man. James McAvoy. I was into James McAvoy like before you all were into James McAvoy, because I was watching that movie going like, God damn, this guy's really good. And now this guy should have had an Oscar for Split. I mean, holy
that was
cow.
amazing.
This guy is Oscar waiting to happen. He's so good. So you have him. You have my God, Morgan Freeman. You have the chick Fox. I can't remember any of these actors' names now.
Angelina
Jolie. You got the dude from Guardians of the Galaxy is in there. So it's Professor X versus Guardians of the Galaxy dude. It's freaking, this is a good movie, man. Go watch it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you haven't watched it in a long time, go watch it again. I guarantee you will probably have a better time with it now that your head is free of the, it's not the comic book.
Yeah, and see, I'd never read the comic books up.
I didn't either.
When the movie came out, I didn't even know they existed until I seen the movie, and I was like, where did they come up with the idea for this? And that's what's cool about the movies, them introducing them like that is it makes you go and look, and then you find, hey, there's this whole world out there that's been there. I just never knew about it.
Yeah, no, I had no clue. I had no clue what it was. So I went in clean of conscience, and I had a good time. So, sometimes you got to do that. I mean, it's like me. I'll go into things that I have heavy connections to, and I get it, man. When it sucks when you want it to be something else. But sometimes you got to step back a little and be like, okay, but is it really bad, or is it really bad just because I have some weird, like, in my mind, it should have been this,
Yeah, some high
Um,
expectation of it.
yeah, or even any expectations in some cases,
Well,
because
that's like
if it's something that
Constantine.
has a lot of source material and it just deviates right out of it, then you can be like, okay, what are they doing? But is it still is it still a good product for what it is, on its own versus the hopes that you had for whatever it is that you wanted to see.
That's like when we went and seen Constantine, and I'll admit I had no idea who John Constantine was, or that there was even a comic book or Hellblazer or any of that existed. And we just happened to roll up at the movies, and I'm like, that looks dumb. That looks dumb. What the hell is Constantine? So we went and seen this movie, having no idea what the movie was going to be about.
Mm-hmm.
We just knew that it had
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. Thank you. And I was like, it's got Keanu Reeves, so it's got to be good. So we went and watched it. And I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I was like, man, that movie was badass. And then I heard everybody
Constantine
talking.
this is a perfect example. Constantine is a movie that people are looking at now because of the TV show, and they're going back, going, "Oh, there was a Constantine movie," and then they're like, "Oh, this was like a pretty good movie, man."
Yeah.
I have no concept of how it connects to the comics. I understand that it doesn't as much as it should, but no, it was a good movie, man. It was a good, for its time, comic book movie thing,
Yeah, and that was the thing. I liked it because I had no background of what it even came from. And it's like, so I never really understood where the people were coming from. Like, hey, this movie was terrible.
Yeah.
And so you go back and you're like, oh, it was based on a comic book. This person probably read this comic book for
Yep.
years, and they went to see this movie and they're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, and that's fair. I've had that I've done that, so it's fair. But we have to try and give it the opportunity to be something else, just on its own merits, if possible. But that's hard to do. It's very hard to do, even within within franchises. Like I just watched Friday the 13th. Jason Goes to Hell. Is like, this is a garbage movie, man. This is like so bad. But then immediately after, I watched the interview with the director, right? And the director's sitting there talking about what he did, why he did it, all these things. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. But you made a shitty movie because none of the things you just told me were evident in the movie. So you had all this stuff in your head and you were trying to be subtle, like, oh, we're gonna sneak this in, we're gonna sneak, stop sneaking it. You got to tell people what's going on, otherwise it's just inside jokes and it's not going to translate. But after watching his interview, literally minutes after I had just watched the movie, I was like, God damn, this is a way better movie than I thought. Except that it's not, because he didn't do any of the things that he talked about to connect any of these dots. So it was just this weird rambling thing. So as a writer, as a storyteller, you have to be really careful about what your inside jokes are, about what your little homages are, because if they don't connect to the reader or to the audience, then they're going to come away with it like, dude, why was that book in there? Like, I don't get it. Like the Necronomicon is in from Army of Darkness is in Jason 9, right? And when I remember seeing that, and I was like, that's weird. Why is that there? And then you go back and you listen to this guy's explanation of why it's there, how he got it there, what his purpose is within the story. You're like, oh my God, that makes total sense. That's amazing. But none of that is in the movie. So
Yeah.
all it is like this 30 seconds of, oh, look, I'm looking at a book. Okay, let's move on to what's next. So conceptually, he had it. But from an execution standpoint, he missed.
Well, and that's part of the hard part of writing stories, like with Ursa Minor for my book, is you've got to elaborate on, the Easter eggs that you tie in there. You have to, give a little more background to it, or you just need to leave them out.
If it's too internal, it's not gonna mean anything. You have to get. I know that you don't want to be like, oh, and the book is on the thing because this is, I realize you don't want to be dumb about it, but you have to do something to make the audience. Because what if people hadn't ever seen the Army of Darkness and they didn't know what the book was? It was pointless, completely pointless. It was a scene that meant nothing. But in his explanation, the dude is brilliantly piecing this thing together, this entire franchise to this point. and yes, he added his own supernatural weirdness to it, but he had a brilliant thought process throughout the franchise, tried to kind of tie it all up in a nice bow, but his execution was poor, even though he had a great concept. So that's where we come back to about writing and stuff. Concept is one thing. You can have a great concept, but you still have to execute the concept in a way that your audience, be it reader or just visual watcher, can connect to what you're giving them.
What if they've never seen Army of Darkness? What kind of blasphemy is this?
I realize that's sort of like an impossibility, but it's not an impossibility. Like, less people have seen that movie than have seen it. That's the reality. Less people on this planet have seen that than have not seen it.
Well, my wife had never seen it, and so I'm like, Halloween came around. I mean, this has been like 16 years ago when we first met. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Halloween. We're gonna watch Army of Darkness, and she's like, "What the hell is this? This is like the corniest movie I've ever seen." I'm like, I love it. Growing up, I watched this, and so when Evil Dead came out, or Ash versus Evil Dead came out on Netflix, I was like, oh, we've got to watch this, and she just cannot stand to watch it because the over the top humor and the gore. Like, I'm laughing because they're cutting up. He's cutting up a demon with a chainsaw, and it's just like 50,000 gallons of blood, and it goes on for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's two things. It's number one, it's just some people get the genre and some people don't. That's just some people like Godzilla, some people don't understand it. That's just normal. The other part of almost everything, though, is when you're exposed to it. So if you're exposed to something at a younger age, and it has an easier time of resonating with you because you don't have as much mental capacity to be blocking out the fact that none of this makes any sense. Why is there blood spitting out of this hole for 2 minutes? Like, you're just laughing because it's like, oh my God, this is like so crazy. And then when you try and show that scene that you saw when you were 10 to somebody else who never saw it when they were 10 and now they're 30, they might not get it. It's a lot of it is dated as well. So again, if you're not into that, if you're not an 80s fan of things, it is very dated in its effects and so on. So you kind of have to be a fan of the genre of what that kind of stuff is. Otherwise you're not, it's just not going to mean anything. I know, like I went and took Allison Lear to go see Godzilla King of the Monsters, and she had never seen a Godzilla movie before. She had seen Kong, the Kong previously, and she was just like, that was good. And I was like, okay, good. So we're gonna go see Godzilla. She had never seen a Godzilla movie before. She came out, she really liked it, and I was like, I have to apologize because there's almost no way for you to work backwards at this point. Because if I were to come back and show you King Kong versus Godzilla 1964 or 1963, your eyes are going to roll. You're going to be like, what is this crap? Probably. Now, it is feasible that the concept of the giant monster thing could be her thing, and maybe it would work. But to start at this level of giant monster fights, Pacific Rim, all that kind of stuff, and go backwards into like the old 60s and 70s stuff, so hard. But for me, I will always watch the 60s and 70s before I watch anything else from the 90s or current, because that's where I was exposed to it first. That is my pure nostalgia hook. And I will always watch the Showa stuff. It's literally right next to me. I mean, it's right here.
Well, and that's just kind of like Star Trek, My grandpa watched Star Trek, the old ones, not the next generation, the original Star Trek. And so it's like when they rebooted it and they did, the story of Kirk from a young age with the new Star Trek movies, like I was really drawn to that. I was like, hey, this is a really cool idea. And I really loved them. The first, second, and third one was okay. But the first and second one was just phenomenal. And, and a lot of it is, remembering that time with my grandpa. My grandpa passed away last year of spinal cancer. And so, it's like now I watch that and I can reminisce on the days, that we were sitting there, or we watched Creature from the Black Lagoon, or we watch the old Incredible Hulk TV show, and some of that stuff is really dated now, but it's like it's better than some of the stuff they're
Yeah, but
putting out now.
it's everything is connected to when you saw it, everything, and it's very rare that you can go back. Like if I were to watch something from the '60s, I'd be like, no, this is not going to work for me, because I'm past that. I mean, when I was watching TV when I was a kid, sure, I was watching things like Gilligan's Island and Leave It to Beaver and whatever, and those were like the '60s and the '70s. But once you reach an age where you're like, no, I need to be watching Star Wars and Jaws and whatever, a lot of that stuff is like I can't do that anymore. It's not going to have that, even though like the Brady Bunch, we used to watch the Brady Bunch all the time, but if I were to sit and try and watch the Brady Bunch right now, no chance. I would watch the movies. The movies are freaking hysterical, but I could never like binge watch the Brady Bunch right now. No way in hell.
Yeah, and I miss shows like Alf, man. I watched that all the time when I was a kid. They just don't make stuff like they used to.
Yeah. Well, and that's always the case. That's always the case.
It's always
and in 30 years, whatever it is that kids are watching, the parents will be like, dude, this is crap. Why aren't we watching Steven Universe? Why aren't we watching, whatever it is that's on now?
Hey, man, in 30 years, there could be an Ursa Minor movie or a TV show.
Let's hope it's faster than 30 years because I may not be here for that. So let's move a little faster.
Yeah,
Hollywood.
Let's move a little faster. So moving back to the book and talking about that a little bit. So you said that this is closing out volume 2 of the series. Now, do you have a volume 3 planned, or?
Oh yeah, this series was planned to just go for a period of time. Yeah, there's as with everything that I do, there's a beginning, middle, and end to everything. I know how Penny for Your Soul ends. I know how Critter ends. I know how Ursa Minor ends. I know how everything ends. So it's just a matter of getting there.
And your fans letting you let them end, because I mean December's like on to you about like never ending some of these series.
Never ending. So. Yeah, well, Scheherazade is like the book that can be written forever. There is an ending. Carrie Castor and I have an ending for Scheherazade, but it is also very similar to Doctor Who, where you can just kind of tell the stories forever because nothing is linear. So we can always move backwards or forwards in time for as long as we want to tell this story. But at some point, a story's value dissipates. And that's why like a lot of shows, they go too long and it just becomes garbage. Star Trek Next Generation ended at season 7. It was the highest rated season it's ever had. But they still were like, you know what? We're done. We've done what we can do. We don't want to go forward. Schitt's Creek, same thing. They did 6 seasons of Schitt's Creek. And David, I can't think. I'm terrible with actors' names right now. The head lead writer of Schitt's Creek, he was like, yeah, but I mean, we've told our story. Like, we need to stop before we're forcing more out of it. Because once you're forcing more out of it, you've already jumped the shark. You don't want to ever jump the shark. You want to go for that period of time where you're like, yeah, that's it. Okay, we're now in our final chapter, and let's wrap this up. And Levy, yes, Daniel Levy, yes, who is freaking brilliant, by the way. Once you realize that you've done what you can do truly well, it's time to wrap up that final chapter. So at some point, we will tell you all of the little secrets of Scheherazade, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, no, and I totally get that. It's like when I wrote, Zen on Nanite Titan, I wrote it as originally it was going to be like a 900-page book, and it's hard to sell something like that. So I'm like, I'm going to split it up into 3 different books. That way people, instead of investing in a 900-page book as a first work from somebody, they can say, okay, I'll check out the first book, and if I like it, I'll move on with it.
Sure, but even in that situation, you're not sitting there going, okay, this is an ongoing story. You have a beginning, middle, and end. This is what it is. Here it is.
Yep.
And you kind of have to have that as a writer, whether it's comics or whatever. Even if you're just finishing an arc, you have to be like, okay, we're finishing this arc. We have to complete this arc. Even if you have an open door to do more, you've got to have that arc complete so that when you are done, people can be like, ooh, okay, we can take a breath. And then like, ooh, but what's next? And then you do it all again.
Yeah, and that was the thing, everybody was like, "Oh, well, when you move into a comic book, how, are you going to do like 100 issues?" And I'm like, "Wow, you're thinking a little big there." I was thinking maybe 10, because that's the nice thing about the story. When you write a story like that, you get the things like the arcs, like characters that the main character meets along the way. You can later on come back and revisit and
Yeah.
say, "Okay,
Yeah.
this is what happened to that character up until this point, and then onward from this point," and do like a short 8-10 issue arc on it. But it's like, I don't intend for Xeno Nanite Titan to go on forever, and it's like people are already planning that, and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna be really disappointed.
Everything's got to end, man.
It does.
It's just the way that it is. We're conditioned to not believe that because of Marvel and DC and how these characters just keep going forever, even though they reboot all the time now, so you get another number one. So it's not like we're at, issue 1018. I mean, technically we are, because they did that whole renumbering thing. But if you just keep rebooting, it doesn't count if you've rebooted, guys. There may be 1,000 issues of Superman, but it doesn't really count because you stopped your book and then you started over. So
how many volumes of Ursa Minor are you planning on doing?
that's hard to say. You don't really know, because, like, for example, with Penny is designed to be seven issue miniseries, all 7 of the Signs of the Apocalypse. And then of course you have like your final sort of battle at the end. So, but along the way, we are doing our spin-offs. So we had like the Joan of Arc spin-off, and then we're going to have the Mary Magdalene spin-off. So while we will have those 7, and that will lead you, right to the end of the series, we will be kind of branching as we go. So Ursa Minor has the ability to do some of that a little bit. It just will kind of depend on how the story wants to tell itself. Where I feel that we could potentially expand the world through a side story, like we did the 2018 special. It was just 3 stories that kind of just expanded the universe out a little bit more. So it'll depend on how much the world wants to be shown versus keeping the secrets hidden. As we go along, because there are secrets that have to be resolved, and then there's ones that we can decide to either leave for the reader to kind of figure out, or make it up in their own mind, or we can make a left turn and be like, okay, we're going to tell you about this and what this is. Like April the Witch. Like, we haven't told you anything about April the Witch other than she knows everything that you could possibly know. But only if someone asks her the right questions, so that the pieces in her head kind of connect. But that is literally all you know. You know nothing else about her, or her lineage, or why she has it. Like, there's nothing. So that is a very easy, like, let's take a left turn and tell the April story. But you only need to do that if you need to do that. If you can just keep going and be like, people like April, okay, cool. People still like April, cool. People still like April, cool. Then you just keep going. Don't worry about adding all this extra stuff. It's like Wolverine. Like Wolverine, for decades, we didn't know what his origin was. And people were asking, but Marvel was just like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just keep going. Don't worry about it. And then when we finally got to it, it was one of these things like, he had like bone claws. Like, this is like weird and dumb. And, and then you run into this part where it's like, okay, did it matter? Ultimately, did it matter? Or was it just a money grab for Marvel to be like, okay, finally, here's your origin story, guys. And then it's just this convoluted thing of, this kid with bone claws, and, oh yeah, and when Sabretooth was there too. And, it's like,
well, and sometimes, like you're saying, sometimes things are better left open for interpretation for the audience. I mean, in some things it's not. Like the Punisher, I used that as an example before. If you watch the Punisher and you didn't know about his family getting killed and that was his motivation, you'd be like, why the hell is this guy walking around with a skull shirt just murdering people?
Yeah.
That's a point that you need an origin story. You're like, okay, you got to start with this. like Wolverine, like you said, you know, it went on and on and on, and that is always the one thing when I talk about why I'm doing, you know, the book as the origin story of, you know, where he came from first, is so people later on, if they get the series and they want to know, hey, I wrote it as a book, you know, X amount of years ago, go check it out if you want to know. And you know, it's for the people that don't care, that's open for interpretation. For the people that want to know, they can go back and check it out. But you know, Wolverine, it's like, you know, you did all these movies, and then all of a sudden we're going to do X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it's like, does it even really matter now?
Yeah, well, and that's just the movies. I mean, that's not even what they talked about in the comics and everything. It's just layers on layers on layers on layers. Eventually, it doesn't matter, or it's either it doesn't matter or it's the only thing that matters. And you kind of have to, as a writer, you kind of have to decide where you're at with all of these things. For me, it's very different for each book. Like with Critter, there's all kinds of stuff that we could write about with Paradox, but we've only given you little tiny pieces of what this guy is and what he's doing and why. And you're going to get more, but it's never going to be like, oh, we're going to go tell the Paradox story. Like, it's always going to be within the context of Critter and her life and her world. Something happens to her, Paradox was connected to it. Okay, how, when, where, why. But it'll never be go read the Paradox miniseries because we have to tell you all this stuff over here while Critter is going on. No, just keep it all tight and keep it all in, you know, one easy to follow story. Your readers will, you know, appreciate you for that. Because like even with Penny, even though we're splitting off onto these miniseries, each one fits directly in between the actual 7-issue miniseries. So you had 1, 2, Joan of Arc, 3, 4, Mary Magdalene, and then we'll have, you know, 5 on and on and on and on and on, until we're at the point where we're like, okay, we've got everything lined up, like literally all the planets are lined up, and we're going into, you know, the final sign of the apocalypse. We're going into the rapture. We're going into the end of days finale, and we're done. We're out. And I already know the finale of the whole thing. Now there's pieces in the middle from where we are now till we get there where we might do a little bit of this, but I ultimately know that everything that I'm doing here will smooth out straight and land where I need it to land at the very end. So Penny will have an ending. I don't know when it will happen, but there will be 7 volumes. There will be however many specials and spinoffs, and it will be a railroad track of start here, read, and you're done. Versus, oh, here's a thing that we decided to, you know, make a thing that doesn't really, it doesn't matter if you know it or not. Like I could go make all kinds of angel series and demon series and just be like, oh, Penny and, you know, the angels are flying around and they're doing it's like, it doesn't matter. Who cares? It's not relevant to this story, this track. And, you know, I think that's where a lot of books and a lot of movies and stuff try too hard to be like, oh, we're going to go over here now and tell you about this character. This character doesn't matter. No one cares.
Well, yeah,
Go back.
And that's exactly why these guys stood out to me. You know, I had them on Sunday with Plus Waco Comics. You know, it's like you're talking about. You get this story that you want to write, and then you got all these different things that go off, and then later on you're trying to piece everything back together. You know, they're thinking about it right. They're starting all their characters off together and then branching them out into their own different storylines. Mm-hmm. To where, you know, like Marvel and DC, you know, they made all these different storylines over the years, and then now here they are trying to fit the Avengers. You know, let's alter the story so this character can be in there, and it's like none of it makes sense.
Yep. I don't know, man. I don't even read a whole lot of comics anymore. Most of what I read is all independent stuff, or oddly enough, weird things that that aren't in the main series. But that's because the stuff in the main series is like almost irrelevant to me because it's so, everything in the main series that they do is usually so large scale. It's like everything is such a big drama. Like, oh my God, there's another Infinity Stone. Oh my God, there's another Gauntlet. Oh my God, there's another Galactus. Oh my God, it's Civil War again. Oh my God, you know, it's everything is always so done in these books with Marvel and DC. So what I like about the other stories, the side stories, is that they're just okay. I can read this Batgirl story and I'm done. And but it focuses on her versus what's she doing in the context of the Bat universe. Like I don't want to read all of that stuff. It's just too convoluted, and that's why like everything that we do will always line up and make it a very easy, simple read. You go 1, you go 2, you go 3, you go 4. You just go straight through. It's nothing is ever extraneous. So that's kind of where we try and come from anyway. Whether we succeed in that or not necessarily is a different thing. But as we go along, I mean, it's me, I decide what we do, but I have to look at everything and be like, does this make sense? Are we doing this right? Does it fit with what we've done before? Whatever. So like all this weird, that's why I made the joke about lingerie wars. It's like, that's not real. There's nothing real about that. It's just a joke. But when people hear it and in their head, like they don't know what it is, right? So this is a perfect example. Hey, lingerie wars. And people are like, huh? What? Hey, tell me more. Like that tells you that you landed on something that you weren't expecting, and you never want to just be like throwing shit against the wall. But
yeah,
that wasn't even that. That was just literally just a joke. And
yeah, not anymore. It's not.
It triggered people to be like, dude, what is this? And how do I cosplay it? And what does it look like? And what is this and what is that? And so now I have to figure this whole thing out. And I still don't know what it is. I kind of have a little sort of nugget of a thing, but
bit off more than you do, right?
Oh, totally. Well, even in the joke, it was coming in 2025. Even that was part of the joke. Like in 5 years, we'll have this book. So,
and everybody's like, "What do you mean 5 years?" Like,
yeah, I know, like 5 years.
Next
Like,
year.
why isn't it out tomorrow? Yeah. So
shame on you for throwing an idea out there and not
it's
having
the truth.
It done yet.
And I'm going to piss a lot of people off as we go into next year too, because the lingerie wars thing sort of triggered an idea that we have available in this Kickstarter. So if we get to 20,000 on this Kickstarter, the 8th stretch goal, the 8th stretch goal will actually be an 8-page preview comic of a previously undiscussed BDI title. And I'll tell you the title. It's called Rules to Live By. I'm not telling you anything else. No one else gets to know anything else. It is one of these books, again, that's just been in the back of my head for a long time. And I'm like, what is it? How is it? What is it? How does it work? What's going on? And then I was watching something the other day and something snapped and I was like, oh my God, I got it. This is how this works. This is how we trigger the whole thing. And I can do this little preview and get people engaged in it. And then come back to it 5 years later. But yeah, it took me a while to find the title as well, because I was really struggling with that. But Rules to Live By, you'll understand why it's called that when you see the book. Hopefully you'll see the book. And then next year, as we do more Kickstarters, we're going to do the same thing. Next year, this was our 10-year anniversary, so next year is our 11th. So next year, we're basically going to be doing a promotion called Turn It Up to 11, where every one of our campaigns will be for the campaign, but each one will also have the ability to unlock a brand new Big Dog Ink title in a preview form. I've got like 5 or 6 books that are all just sitting in my head that I can be like, okay, I can write 8 pages for that and put it out and let people see it. But I don't know when we're coming back to it. But we can at least have all of these things sort of out into the BDI cloud, as it were. And so Turn It Up to 11 actually begins this year with Ursa Minor. So at $20,000, we will unlock a 8-page preview book for Rules to Live By. And I'll tell you that it's a horror book, which fits in with Ursa Minor. So Rules to Live By, and it's a really cool story. I hope I really get to dive into it heavily and give it the attention that it needs before we put it out. So I think everybody will kind of dig on it. And some of the Patreon folks actually are getting already some of the preview elements of Rules to Live By, because they get all of as I develop things, they get all of this information first. So I started filtering out names and all kinds of little extras for this last week. And if you are interested in kind of being in the behind the scenes of Big Dog Inc., go to patreon.com/Big Dog Inc. And join us. There's 30 people in there right now who are all having a good time seeing everything that's coming before anybody else does. And that includes like character designs and logos and scripts and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So patreon.com has become really, really fun. There's a great little group in there. And that is where everything kind of debuts, and things that you'll never see, things that the regular public will never see. Just because there's no reason for them to see it. It's not like publishable things. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us. And hey, Joey, and I agree, there needs to be more were creatures. And yes, I remember Bloody Roar. That was
Bloody
phenomenal.
Roar. Well, in the Ursa Minor universe, there's all kinds of were things. There are references to all kinds of other things that we just haven't seen yet. So, keep your eyes open for all of that. It's not just about the werewolves and the werebears. There are all kinds of other weird things in the universe. There's even like Japanese monsters. There's a thing called a Yorigumo, which is basically an old woman who has spiders living inside of her. So in the first volume, we actually have the werebear fighting one of these Japanese Yorigumos. So there's all kinds of crap in this Ursa Minor universe. It's not just this little basic, werewolves and vampires thing. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and so if you guys have missed out, and for those of you just joining us, there is a tier that'll get you caught up. It's got all the back issues for Volume 1, and this is the end of Volume 2, so you'll get everything up until the end of Volume 2.
Yeah, and you'll get the 2018 special as well. So, absolutely.
See, Mike says if you release an 8-page preview, you could have a brainstorm and release an issue 1 earlier than 2025.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, Lingerie Wars is definitely one of those, like, turn it up to 11 potential books for sure, assuming I can, figure out what the story is. I have a whole bunch of other books that'll probably happen before that. But yeah, no, if something clicks and it's ready to go, then for sure we'll drop that in there.
Oh, Joey, what are we going to do with you, man?
See, penguins, that's an example of something that doesn't matter. Like, there's no reason for us to, oh, Jesus, I just realized I can do that. I just realized I can actually organically do that. Oh, my God.
Way to go, Joey. You just sparked an awesome idea.
Literally, I was sitting here going like, no, that doesn't make any sense. There's no reason. Oh, shit. I found a way to do it. It's funny because sometimes that really weird outside the box stuff is like, yeah, ha, 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 it's funny. And then you realize, oh, I've already have that set up. Like, that's already in my story. I literally already have that as a potential setup. So yeah, that's funny. That's funny. It'll take a little bit of research to make sure that that's legitimate, but yeah, it's definitely a possibility. For those that have read Ursa Minor, you'll know how that can happen. For those that haven't read Ursa Minor, you can go buy all the books right now and read it all and figure out where exactly the were penguins can come from.
And no one suspects the penguin uprising.
That's right. No one expects the penguin uprising.
And there's the link again, folks, in the comments on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It should be popping up on there.
Yep, I see it. Boom. Yeah, we still have like almost 2 weeks. It's like 12 days. So
yeah, it's 12 days.
Plenty of time to get involved. But the sooner you do it, the better. Just get it out of the way. Because all the time I get, oh, I missed it. I forgot about it. I'm like, dude, you had a month. Like, I've been telling you for a month. Go click the button. And once you miss it, there's nothing I can do about it. It's over. It's gone. It's kaput.
Yeah, and just think, you're going to miss out on that 8-page preview of the rules to live by.
Brand new BDI book.
Brand new
BDI book. Yeah, just go over and click on something, because then at least, even if you don't know if you want a whole bunch of stuff, go get one thing right now. Then when you do your surveys, you have the opportunity to get more stuff if you want it. So you have more time to kind of like figure it out. But you only have 2 weeks to get in and get this stuff. And if it sells out, it sells out.
Yeah, and if you're just going to go back something, just go back the 11 cover set. Just go
just
all
dive
out.
In. Just dive in. Just dive in. No, but in all seriousness, though, if you want a book, you can get in for as little as $9, and that includes your shipping. So there's no way to lose at this. And then if you want to get a more expensive book later, you can. But even if you just go in for $9, you'll get the book. It's as simple as that. We always have a very easy, sort of reader copy edition available. And that's it. So, we always want you guys to be able to have access to the books as easy as possible. I know that not everybody wants to collect variants, and so we always have the sort of the primary book available at all times at a good price. So,
And who wants to miss out with chicks on trampolines? I mean, come on. By the way,
this is real homage stuff, man. Not this hokey like, oh, it's Friday the 13th again. We're gonna do Friday the 13th homage. It's like, dude, everybody does that.
Well, see, and it was funny.
Find something else.
I forgot all about the man show, and then whenever
everybody did, dude.
Whenever I seen the thing with the vampires on trampolines, like immediately I was like, that's the man show. And everybody's like, why are there vampires on trampolines? I'm like, you just don't get it, man. If you've never watched the show, just go look up chicks on trampolines and watch about 6 or 7 videos and you'll understand. That was the best part of the show when the credits rolled.
It's just nothing when you're doing stuff like that. It doesn't have to. The fact that they're vampires just makes it funnier because it's just so weird. It's vampires at night jumping on trampolines. It's just weird, but it is an homage to the Man Show. I actually posted it on their Facebook page too. I was like, "Oh, dude, we did this thing," and put it up there. But I have gotten no responses so far.
And for those of you that missed it, there it is, right there. The Vampires on Trampolines by Sir Stephanopoulos.
Yeah, it's a really cool perspective shot. He did a great job. It's super fun. It's just fun, just fun. But the point is, like, there's so many homages to things. Like, oh, hey, we're gonna do McFarlane Spider-Man again. Like, dude, everybody does that stuff. Like, move on. I want to see deep cuts from you people. I want to see deep cuts. Really surprise me. Like, we did one for Fast Times at Ridgemont High that was hugely successful. Mike Crome did a Fast Times at Ridgemont High homage for Phoebe Cates. I want to see some deep cuts from you guys that are doing homages. Dear God, please expand the creativity and get some deep cuts.
And help get this to 20,000 so we can get that. And don't let me budget this. You said 10 rules to live by, right?
No, just rules to live by.
Oh, rules to live by.
Just rules to live by. Yep.
Somehow.
When I do this update, because we've unlocked that second chibi cover there, the Annabeth Elvgren, that is unlocked. It just has not been updated yet, guys. When I update that, I will update that whole image there, so it'll say rules to live by, preview comic, and we'll also be debuting the logo for it soon, so that you guys know that it's a real thing, and on and on and on. So yeah, it's fun. Kickstarters are always fun. They're stressful, but they're fun too. I mean, you're getting new people seeing your products. Hopefully they're enjoying, from a writer standpoint. Hopefully they're enjoying the insides as much as they're enjoying the covers. But ultimately, you just want people to enjoy the product, however it is that they want to enjoy the product, whether it's the cover, the insides, whatever it is. Hopefully they take the magnets and stick them to the refrigerators, and they're reminded of the book, so that they come back and think about it. Oh, hey, maybe there's more Ursa Minor, and they find more stuff. So, we just kind of run from there. Rules to live by. We need this in the world. Yeah, we do. I think you guys will freak out when you see what this is. It's really large scale, which is kind of frightening to kind of figure out how to tackle. It's a very large scale book, but I think conceptually it all makes sense and works. Now we just have to figure out some of the world building. But I know what the preview is going to be. Like I can sit down and write that in a weekend and have it be done. I know what that 8 pages is. So if we can unlock it, it's done. It's easy, super easy. And I think you guys will love it. And I think that if I do it right, I think you'll kind of have an idea of what the world is just through these 8 pages, even though it's just a teaser. Yeah. I also need some stuff, some design stuff too. So I got to have some people do a little bit of character design for me, and we'll go from there. But like I said, it's a very large scale story, so don't anticipate seeing anything from it again anytime soon. But it will be fun to put it out and to have all of these little mini chapters, if assuming we can unlock them throughout the course of the year. It'll be really fun to have those things. And start to kind of show what we can do at Big Dog Inc. Because we've done a lot of stuff, but man, there's a lot of things I have not touched on as far as genres yet, and a lot of it is kind of aching to get out. So it's going to be fun to be able to do this.
Is this something that you're going to add in rotation? Because I know you like to rotate from one project to the next and try to keep things fresh. And
yeah, part of the rotation is the anniversaries. I mean, we're kind of focusing on that. So when it's Oz 10-year anniversary next year, it's like we got to focus on Oz. We got to give Oz the attention. It's 10 years. It's a big deal. Let's power into it. And then the following year is 10 years for Ursa Minor. So the following year is 10 years for Sherazade. So we're going to have some aspect of celebration determining what we do for the next few years, but at the same time we'll also be dropping Critter out in March. New artist Hedwin Zaldivar for the series is coming on board. We want to get more Kaiju Epic out. We want to get Lights Camera Jungle out. There's a lot of ways to do this, but because a lot of what we're doing, or all of what we're doing really right now is through Kickstarter, it kind of limits what we can do, because just from the timing standpoint of everything. So part of what we have to do next year also is just build the infrastructure to get things moving faster campaigns, potentially like 2 and 3 week campaigns, faster survey times, faster shipping, but all of that takes people and infrastructure to do it. And right now I am one person. So that doesn't work. And so part of what I'm going to be doing over the winter and as we get into next year is looking at building infrastructure so that I can start handing things off to people so that I can focus on the creative stuff that only I can do, which is the writing and all that kind of stuff. So if I can have other people doing other things, that frees me up to do the creative side. And then the speed will start to pick up because it's not just one person doing everything. In the lineup. Yeah. And then there is also the possibility of us going back into comic book stores, going back into Diamond. I've thought about that. It's not a situation where Diamond would tell us no, but I have to make sure again that there's somebody focusing on the Diamond element so that all of that is taken care of in a timely basis, because that's its own part of this whole job. On and on and on. But if we can get back into Diamond, that should get a few more eyeballs on us as far as like the old BDI readers that have not found us on Kickstarter yet. And we should be able to drag them back to Kickstarter and be like, okay, yeah, you're getting those books, but we're over here now and we're doing all of this stuff. Kind of like Brian Polito. He did Kickstarters for 2 years before he went back into Diamond. And then he just released those Lady Death books that he did on Kickstarter. He just released those to the general public. That was the Brian Polito cycle and method. And then he got a whole bunch of people that were like, oh, this is like a real thing. Brian's back. And all of those people came from stores to his Kickstarter. And now he's got, 2,000 people backing his stuff, every single month or every single campaign. So he grew himself through Kickstarter, went back into Diamond, and then the Kickstarters took off because all the people that saw him in retail trickled back. And now he's doing what he's doing, which is awesome. So there's definitely something to be said for that method. And I'm not against doing that, but I need to build, like, he's got a team of like a dozen people. I need to start building a team so that it's not all on me.
No, it's totally understandable.
Yeah.
So I do have to ask though. So can we look forward to seeing a spin-off Comic Con again next year?
Spin. The
Yeah,
Comic
the
Unity
Comic
thing.
Unity
I
online.
don't know. I mean, it's entirely possible. It's kind of up to Wendy and CB. We'd have to see what we wanted to do. What's the value in it? Is it okay? It's catnip number 2, or is the value in it that we introduce 3 new characters again? Like, what would be the way to use it and have it make sense? So entirely possible. Entirely possible. I've even talked to CB about doing a crossover with Big Dog stuff and Into the Suck. So there's that too.
Awesome.
Maybe if Wendy isn't ready, maybe we just do the crossover as part of Comic Unity. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of ways to use Comic Unity. There's a lot of ways to use spin-off comics. We just have to kind of wait and see.
Well, I'm just excited about it because, that was a lot of fun. It's really cool to see,
Oh, yeah.
Different creators coming together with their projects and to create something so awesome. And we had a good time with it. The group was awesome. We had a lot of fun live streams on there, and it was a lot of fun doing. So,
Yeah,
it
I mean, it might
definitely
even
gave
be
everybody something to look forward to.
Yeah, and it might even be a situation where, if Wendy or CB can't do it, or if I can't do it, we just plug in somebody else, and it's like Wendy and CB and Lewis or whatever. So it's a wide open concept. It's just a matter of, okay, what are we doing? Are we going to aim for September again? I'd like to do it in a way that we could do like a real convention at the same time, like all 3 of us go to a show. So that's like one of the reasons we were talking about September was because Baltimore Comic Con, but then all the cons shut down. So Baltimore is a great show. I think it would be a great place to do Comic Unity as like a booth, and all 3 of us can sell our books, and it can be like a big thing if we were to do it. So I think that's kind of one of the next steps, is to take it a little more public. But I don't even know if that's going to be possible next year until we see what happens with the virus and all that kind of stuff. So it may be that it's just simply we do it the same way we did it, and then it's just a matter of which characters and all of that kind of stuff. So who knows? Everything usually gets planned. Like, I already know what next year is. Like, I know all of the campaigns for next year. It's all done. Everything would be anything Comic Unity wise, spin-off comics wise, would just be additional. Same with if we do the spin-off with CB, the crossover, it would just be kind of additional. There's the thing that we're talking about with Jim Noble with the summer camps that we're talking about doing. That would be kind of a special spin-off crossover thing. So there's a ton that we're trying to do next year. Like, holy crap, is there a ton that we're trying to do? But all of it requires infrastructure and people and teams and more speed than what I've had for the past 3 or 4 years by myself, because that clearly just doesn't work with me doing it all by myself. So it looks like we have, for the most part, the fulfillment part taken care of as far as somebody else shipping the books. We did that with Oz. It went really well. There was only a couple of little glitches, but nothing serious and easy to fix as we go forward. So those guys are going to be doing Princesses versus Zombies in a couple of weeks when we have those books. They'll be shipping all of that out. And as long as, again, we see, yep, this is not a problem, everything's working as planned, then that part is solved. And then it's just a matter of, okay, we need people to work on making images for the site. We need people to be doing, social media in a stronger way. We need, this and that and this and that and this and that. And then, if we decide to go back into Diamond, we need somebody to be focusing on Diamond and marketing that side of it to Bleeding Cool and CBR and, those guys that hate us and never want to talk to us. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. They have reported on us on occasion, but we don't play the butt kissing game, so they're not really interested in that. Which is fine. I mean, the reality is that we built this without them. We went to Aspen without them. We came out of Aspen and rebuilt this without them. So, while it would be nice, of course, to be mentioned in some of these areas, it's not really necessary. We're doing this without any sort of large scale social understanding. It's all like this. It's all us doing our own feeds. It's doing stuff like this with you. It's doing Comic Unity. It's doing the show with Phil, Demon Nation. It's doing that stuff that is what's growing all of what we're doing. So to be able to be like, oh yeah, we're like on Newsarama, like, okay, it's fine. I don't know that it matters, but that's fine. So, we just don't chase that stuff. I would rather just come talk directly to everybody than worry about, being reported on through media sources.
Well, exactly. And that's what I was going to say is, just reading an article in a media source doesn't tell people who you are or what you do or, what kind of person you are.
That's the other thing is we've definitely moved past just the basic idea of an article. Hey, here's an article on Big Dog Inc. Okay, great. Who's actually reading that?
Exactly.
You need to have like an epic title because that's all anybody reads. And then it's like Big Dog Inc. is the best small press, company in comics. Like that's a fucking title. I want that title because then people will be like, what does that mean? And then they'll go figure it out. But nobody reads articles. So this is the way to do what we do and to reach new people. Kickstarters reach new people all the time because it's interactive. It's direct contact. Even if it's just a sale, even the web store, the Big Dog Inc. web store, holy crap, has that blown up. And those are all names that are not Kickstarter names. Those are names that are not on Facebook. I don't know where they're coming from, but they're buying books on the BDI web store like hand over fist. So again, all of the growth is there. All of the grassroots that we had when we started 10 years ago, it's all growing again. I don't know how, but it's happening and the books are selling. So that's really all that matters.
Yeah, and it's good to hear that, Who's reading BI books? Get out of here, stuff. And that's another thing too, bringing in, multiple artists. That's another facet,
Sure.
that helps bring you in new readers because, you get people that are, fans of Steph Wilson's work, for instance.
Yeah. If you're a Mike Crone guy, you're probably going to buy the Mike Crone book. I mean, that's
exactly.
This is as simple of an explanation as you'll ever get for doing variants. Because all you guys are like, oh, so many variants. I'm like, yeah. And guess how many Mike Crone fans I have buying my books because Mike did a cover. Guess how many Ebass fans I have buying my book because Ebass did a cover. Oh, well, they're not reading your book. No, maybe not, but they bought it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is, Trish. Getting on here and making acquaintances, not just having somebody to buy your stuff. It's making those relationships. And that's what's awesome about doing this online stuff is, the cons are great. I miss them. It sucks that everything that's happened the way they are, but this gives everybody more of a chance to have, one-on-one, ask whatever questions they want and have as much time as they want to ask the things. Because how many times you walk up to, a big time publisher or a big time artist and, they've got, an hour to sit and, answer questions. It's like, okay, what do you want signed? Okay, cool. Thanks for being a fan. Next, and here we have the opportunity to, hey, let's get to know this person. Oh, you have other books that you do. I've never heard of that. I want to check it out. It's great.
Yep, that's it.
Trish, get a room. Get out of here, Steph. I'm Steph Wilson's number 2 fan. Who does number 2 work for?
The second best Steph Wilson fan in the universe.
Working on number 1. Well, it's been great having you on here, Tom. I don't want to keep you all night, but I definitely look forward to checking out the Ursa Minor universe. I'm kind of late hopping on with this Kickstarter, but it looks awesome and the concept's awesome, and looks like I'll have a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, it's actually one of the for those that haven't read it before, it's one of the easier books that we have to catch up on because there's basically 2 volumes and 1 special, so it's a very, very easy book to dive in and get everything. Penny for Your Soul, Critter, Oz. Those are like 4 or 5 volumes long. There's much more to get into. But Ursa Minor, especially if you're a horror fan, Ursa Minor is very, very easy to get into. It's like, I think it's like $50 and you get, all the books. Some of it's digital because some of it is sold out. But you'll get everything that exists, including the new current books. So it's a very, very simple dive in. And if you're just a digital reader, we have an all-in digital thing as well. You can get everything digital, read it on your phone while you're going to work, whatever. We make it very, very simple to get involved in the books. Ursa Minor is no exception. 12 days to go, 272 backers. We are $14,060. We have unlocked 5 stretch goals, which means 5 pieces of exclusive bonus swag will get tossed into your package there, and that's it. And we just see how far we can go at this point.
And only $6,000 more to unlock the rules to live by 8-page
5,940. 5,940. Every dollar counts.
Every dollar counts. So cool. I'm gonna give you the screen. Give you a chance to let everybody know where they can find you on for Patreon and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so it's super easy. I mean, I'm here on Facebook. You guys are watching us here on Facebook. You can come, friend me up. Big Dog Inc., the group on Facebook. Come join the group over there. For Twitter and Instagram, it's BDI Comics. And for Patreon, it is patreon.com/Big Dog Inc. For as little as $5 a month, you're going to get all the stuff that we post. If you want to jump into the $10 realm, the $10 realm will let you actually vote on certain things that we do within the Big Dog Inc. universe. We vote on names, we vote on costume colors, we vote on this, that. Sometimes we'll show you a few roughs, like, hey, here's 3 roughs that this cover artist did. You guys pick which one you want. So we're going to start doing a lot of that, especially as we get into next year. So Patreon's going to get very interactive and very fun. And then if you just want books, if you want to check out the books, bigdoginc.com. It'll take you right to the Webstore. All the books that we have are available there. Trade paperbacks, variant covers, single issues. Everything's there. So feel free to join us on any of those platforms. Facebook is kind of our platform of choice. You will get the most information on Facebook, but Twitter and Instagram are also out there, and you're welcome to join us wherever you are most comfortable scrolling through. There's the Patreon link right there. Click on it, join us. There's a lot of fun going on over there.
Yeah, and you got that exclusive series, Blue Jay, still running.
Yep,
on there
Patreon.
Too, so.
We do that'll be coming back in December. We had to take a little bit of a hiatus, just because the artist has things that we got to do. But we will basically be posting a webcomic every Tuesday and Thursday again, starting in December. Blue Jay is a superhero webcomic posted in a social media style context. So it's really different. Really interesting to write, and it's one of those things that it'll probably become one of our Turn It Up to 11 books, to do an actual 8-page thing for her sometime next year.
And then also I just wanted to kind of further explain the Patreon. You also have some kind of every 6-month thing that you do with that as well.
Yeah, so every 6 months, those have been with us for that period will get a free comic book, a free variant cover. Last year, it was this year, it was in July. We did a Bikini Day book for Critter. It was on Kickstarter, and the Patreon folks got a free copy of that book with a variation of the cover. So there was only, at the time, there were 22 people, something like that. So there's only 22 that exist in the world. They all have that book, and we'll be doing it again. So January will be our next one. So get yourself engaged in the group, and there will be the opportunity to get some bonus stuff that will be exclusive to Patreon.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot for being on tonight. Thanks a lot for sharing your project with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's always a good time.
It is. So I will let you go. If you want to hang out in the green room for a minute, I'll be back in just a second.
You got it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone, for being here tonight. We had a great time. We derailed for a little while, talked about movies and all that good stuff, but definitely check out the Ursa Minor on Kickstarter. Links in the comments, links in the description. The link for the Big Dog Inc. web store is also in the description. And the Patreon link is also in the comments. I just posted that up there a little bit ago. Thanks a lot, Mike. I appreciate that. Thanks, Trish. So I appreciate all you guys being here. Thanks a lot for sharing out and helping me grow. I really appreciate that. I will be having another show on Sunday with somebody new. I will release more of that to come tomorrow. Pretty excited to talk about it. It's going to be another horror book about vampires. So definitely check out Ursa Minor. Like I said, link is in the description, link in the comments. Check out Big Dog Inc. Y'all have a great night. And as always, Russ Explode Studios, projects that'll blow your mind. Have a great night.